Wake up, everybody, because it is time for a podcast. That is right, this is Social Discording, a podcast all about three dudes who are stuck at home, just like you. We're relatable. I'm Ben Arison, hosting today's podcast. Joining me to my left, Spicy Fries, Joey Spicy Fries, and below him, the lovely DJ Zaxt here to do timestamps for me. Yeah, what a player.
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
Today's episode 4. We've been doing this for a month now, and we've been social distancing, which is the pun of this podcast name. Hey, look at that. For about 2 months now, I think. Is that right? Are we in 2 months?
Something close to that number.
Yeah, like 6 to 7 weeks,
yeah.
I think.
Crazy.
If not long.
Insanity. How long do you think, because California started reopening some businesses yesterday, how long do you think before we're fully opened? Or before something else happens and we go right back on lockdown?
I feel like we're just going to reopen and we're going to get a second wave of this crap and have to go back down into a more severe lockdown.
I don't know. It's an interesting situation. I mean, there's obviously a lot of people that need to get back in their jobs. We just reached the highest unemployment rate of all time. So it's kind of interesting. I think if I had to predict, obviously the economy is going to start opening. People that have to stay home due to health concerns are going to start staying home a little bit more. But my hope is everything can start getting back to normal. But I don't think it's going to be quote unquote normal for at least a year or two. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be... There's definitely a balance to strike between, are we being overly cautious or are we not being cautious enough? And I think in some states we're definitely not being cautious enough, and it's going to really affect them. And the unfortunate part is here in California, I feel like we're doing things pretty by the numbers, which is great. But when you have places that aren't, they're just going to have big upswings on their infection rate, and they're all going to be like, well, California's doing fine, I should go over there, they're safe. And then they're going to come over here and just be like, hello, touchy. Have you guys seen Disenchantment?
We're technically... I have not seen Disenchantment.
We'll go to that in a second. Go ahead. What were you saying?
We're actually not doing things by the numbers right now. We are technically moving into phase 2. And they set guidelines for what phase 2 has to be. And we are under that number. We are over that number, but still going into phase 2. So we're technically not doing everything by numbers in California.
Oh, we're pushing a little early?
Yeah, I think it's just to compensate for everyone that's, like down the street, from all of our hometown, there's people by the mall that are protesting and encouraging people to take off their masks while protesting. So to all those people, if you're going to protest, do it safely, because you just look like a dumbass outside.
I saw a group of protesters out on one of my streets yesterday when I was picking Lindsay up from work. And they had a bunch of Jesus will save you signs, no masks, no gloves, no nothing. I'm just like, you all look stupid.
Well, look, those fucking...
I get it. I'm religious. I'm Christian. But I also believe in safety. So...
Yeah, there's a huge problem with this also in the Jewish community. But that's here nor there. We don't gotta jump in religion. But I do see what they're saying.
Here in the nerd
community, jump into religion. I'm just saying they just look stupid doing their protesting, not wearing masks and whatnot.
Here in the self-loathing nerd community, we're absolutely fine. Hooray.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that now that those advisors to, what is it? I think there are 2 advisors to Pence and 2 or 1 advisor to Ivanka has COVID now, confirmed cases.
Confirmed.
It's going to spread in the White House like a wildfire, because that they're in some culty like state where they're like, if you wear a mask in the White House, you are disrespecting our Lord and Master, Mr. President. And it's going to be real bad in there. I can't,
some satanic spit swapping rituals.
Jesus Christ.
They're all just one big orgy, all of them. Every single one of them. Trump, Ivanka, Jared, Trump Jr.
Trump Jr.
Just in a big donut,
I mean, but don't get me wrong. Like I see, obviously, people need to make money for their families. People obviously have costs. They have homes. We're obviously reaching unemployment, like extremely high numbers. So obviously, I see where they're coming from, but we can't just be so blind to the risk, and at least be conscious of what you're doing, and just don't be a dummy and go outside without a mask.
At
Be
the current
respectful.
rate, we're hitting 3,000 deaths per day. That is 9/11 levels of death count per day.
Mhm.
No one gives a shit. And like all these people saying we gotta open up, it's just like it's gonna be really bad. Like we gotta be patient. The issue to me is that we haven't had the proper response from our federal government, who's too busy playing politics up there, to just be like, we need to throw things at the wall. Just starts. Just try things as best we can to get things moving. All they've done is the $1,200 thing. That's it. It's like that's not going to sustain people for more than a few weeks. Like,
No, it's not.
and it's like all these protesters
Right.
out there and all these people and it's like for a certain political side of the spectrum, those are your people out there in those protests, probably getting sick and aren't going to be able to vote for you come November if they get sick like this. So you need to do something about this.
Well, I mean, also the other thing, that's a good counterpoint to this. Not to favor one side or the other, just to bring counterpoints up. Obviously, without people working, the machine stops working. So the farmers, the people that are getting our food, the people that are cooking our food, the people that are preparing the food, if those people aren't there, it's not moving. So the problem is more than just money. And I feel like just sending $1,200 to every American that's within that restriction isn't enough. Obviously, we need to start opening the economy in some regards. We can't all just be sitting ducks at home. There's people, essential workers in the community that are needed, that are not working. So obviously, there needs to be some movement starting to move forward. But we just need to be safe,
Definitely.
and also to counterpoint again, way more people die from cigarettes. Way more people die from all these other diseases, heart attacks, pre-existing conditions.
I think it's hit number 7 on the most deadly, most likely cause of death in most likely highest cause of death in America right now. Number 7 is COVID.
Well, okay, but this is also something interesting that Elon Musk, who we're going to bring up later in the podcast again, was talking about.
Great
Joe Rogan's
transition.
podcast.
Nailed it. Very natural.
I'm just saying. He was also saying he knows because of the ventilators that he's been providing, but they're also causing count of death. Like if someone's dying, and obviously symptoms of death, no matter who you are, unless if you get obviously shot, or if you're dying just of natural cause, most times people start coughing, they have shortness of breath, which are symptoms of COVID, and obviously, doctors are taking that and they're assigning it to this death count. So there is a weird faulty number that is coming from this as well, from people with other existing conditions that they're classifying into this group.
We don't necessarily would call it faulty though, because there's a reason why they call it that, and it's because the idea of or one of the issues with COVID is how much it ruins your immune system. So having someone who just had pneumonia and would have survived from pneumonia, having also dealing with COVID on top of that and dying from technically pneumonia, that all should be categorized as the same thing, as it's part of the greater issue. And it's also there's so many underlying things and reasons why they create that specific number and add those things onto it. And I know Elon's been using that as an excuse to open California back up, but
We should not be opening California back.
not quite yet.
Enough talk of this. Let's jump into better topics.
Well, let's one positive. California has become the first state to send to every California resident a vote mail-in ballot for the November election. Every single California registered voter will get a mail-in ballot sent to them automatically. That is awesome. That is great news, and every fucking state should have that. There's no excuse.
It's also scary. It's also scary.
Why?
I think it leaves a lot of room for manipulation of votes.
I don't think so. Not more than we already have. We're already so in the shitter with some of these places in terms of voting manipulation. Like What's a bunch of mail?
Enough politics. Let's jump into some better, more brighter topics.
Okay.
Let's start with Animal Crossing.
We don't have. I mean, the stock market is tanking this week. Everyone's having terrible prices. We're all gonna lose millions.
In turnips.
They know what we're talking about.
Do they?
We just said it.
Knew where we were going.
Anyways, I have a really funny story. I went to Target this morning, and walking up, most stores now are obviously having signs of like what they're out of, and it's like toilet paper, water, even though they weren't out of water, but like I think they said like Lysol, sanitation wipes, and I'm reading the list as I'm walking up. At the very bottom, Nintendo Switch Animal Crossing is on the list, and I'm just like, bruh.
Sold out.
Yeah,
it's doing
man.
crazy.
And so I like walking in, I kind of just like giggled to myself. I was gonna take a picture, but there's people around me, and I wasn't trying to be like that dude, so I just kept walking. But I just found it extremely hilarious that they needed to advertise that they are out of Animal Crossing and Nintendo Switches.
I mean, it's a hot commodity right now for people just trying to get their hands on it, and it's become to that point where so many scalpers are just buying them up as instantly as much as they can. So who even knows what the real demand numbers are? But Nintendo recently published their financials for, I believe, the year, if maybe this is the quarter, but Animal Crossing, 11 million fucking units in 10 days, which is freaking insane. That is crazy for that game. I think Animal Crossing could very well will jump into the top 5, but it could very well get into it could possibly surpass Smash Bros at this point. It's crazy.
No, don't say that. Not Smash Bros.
Hey, no, I mean it's all Nintendo, same team.
Yeah.
Same team here.
Same team.
But you just have to think like a game with this much like
cloud.
Okay, the two previous games obviously did not do anything like this.
Well, no, I mean New Leaf and Wild World did pretty well for their systems, but not this great, not this crazy.
Mm-hmm.
This is a juggernaut.
And I think just like by complete chance, this game came out at the perfect time, and it also gives people like this like alternative reality where essentially you're living in your own town and there's an economy, and it's like a really awesome game bringing people together.
I think that absolutely COVID definitely helped at this, but I think this game would have been a massive success without COVID. I think that in this age of social media sharing and how much people are like, showing off funny stuff that's happening in the game, this game is the perfect like tool for that, because it's viewable by all audiences. Anyone can do stuff, anyone can share their stuff, so which actually kind of makes it pretty easy to share stuff, surprisingly. Like the game is amazing, and even if it didn't come out during this time, I think it still would have hit pretty hard, but not an 11 million like crazy. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I think 22 million units. Smash Bros still climbing. I think they're at like 19. Zelda Odyssey 17. Crazy, just like Nintendo Switch numbers are crazy. Sword and Shield I think is now number 3, maybe.
Stonks.
And you know what? And this is only good because this is just going to show Nintendo, hey, you have a huge audience. Let's step up that online play. Fix those damn servers. Fix the online connections. Let's do this. Let's make Nintendo let's get Nintendo back on top. Nintendo used to be the reigning champ back in the day.
Were they?
So let's oh yeah, back in the day when I'm talking like OG Mario type stuff. Like Nintendo was definitely, in my opinion, one of the what's the word?
I just wanted to know what you were referring to back in the day, and when Nintendo is, because depending on the time period you're talking about, that's a heavy number. Nintendo,
I mean, even like 64, I feel like was probably
no.
Okay, well, maybe
PS1.
right before that.
But so here's the actual time periods in which Nintendo was on top. During the NES and Super Nintendo, by far the dominating console in the market, not even close. Like Sega was up there in a sense, but they weren't getting there. As soon as the PS1 hit and Sony came in, Nintendo has never really regained that momentum. the Wii era and with the DS, technically speaking, but that fell off well with software sales. That was one of the bigger issues with the Wii. And then after that, since then, we've come up with the Switch. Now, currently, the best-selling console month to month, not in total sales, because obviously the PS4 has been out for way longer. But I think it hit 55 million in March, the Switch, which is great for a 3-year mark. Just imagine another if you extrapolate, like they could easily surpass 100 million at this point, which would be a fantastic success. That would be insanity for a modern Nintendo handheld.
But I think this also shows that Nintendo's kind of found their niche with like the handheld / home entertainment video game consoles. Obviously, they're known for like the DS and all the handheld stuff that they've done previously. And with the Switch, obviously, kind of follows that same footsteps with just a little bit more home integration. So I'm definitely happy to see that they kind of found their niche, and it's obviously working out.
They found their niche, the old handheld console market.
Well, I mean, obviously it's been a thing, but it's really showing its like power right now compared to these like PlayStation and Xbox, where you can take it on the go, you can bring it to a friend's house if you want. You know, you can. It's a good party game. You can remove your Joy-Cons.
Right.
You know, it turns into a huge party game. Obviously, you can connect it to your TV, so you get all of everything in one.
Well, I think the biggest thing of the Switch, there are three massive points you always have to make when you talk about the Switch. One is the the sex appeal of the Switch, and when you compare it to the Wii U, because we were actually playing with the Wii U last week, looking at that's what standard marketing talk. You know, come on, baby. When you're looking at something like the Wii U. The Wii U is a very complicated machine. It doesn't do what you want it to do. It really tries to fight you in terms of like trying to get to certain things. Like if you're trying to play Wii games, it's really difficult. Just integrating with the gamepad itself, it's like if the gamepad's not charged, you can't use it. You have to turn it on from the gamepad first, or otherwise it won't work. It's just like there's a lot of complications to it. And it's just very clunky. The Switch just works in every sense. It's very similar to the Apple design mentality. You know, we're looking at different colors, very simple UI. It just works out of the box, and I think that's a great mantra to have because that makes it super marketable to people. People understand what the Switch is. They look at it like, oh, I get this. I understand what this thing is. The second thing is that Nintendo is firing on all cylinders when it comes to their game lineup. Every single one of their games, sans maybe Pokemon, is delivering the best of their franchises. Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Smash Bros, Animal Crossing, Fire Emblem, Luigi's Mansion. These games are the best those franchises have ever had, and they are selling like crazy. And
yeah, they've hit right on the money every time so far.
Yeah, and even fucking Sword and Shield is one of the second best selling Pokemon game of all time right now.
It's a really good game.
It's not, but
shut up, it is.
I tried playing it. I've gotten it in less than an hour because I can get through it.
But it's definitely a good entry Pokemon game.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
Obviously, if like you've played all the other ones and you have all this to compare to, it's obviously didn't live up to the hype just because obviously you didn't even have all the Pokemon. But like for an entry level Pokemon game, it does what it needs to do.
I'd be curious to see Joey. I'd be curious to see your opinion if you had gone through the 3DS era because you hadn't played one since Black and White, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
I'd be curious to see if you had progressed through that 3D era of the 3DS, what you would have thought of Sword of Shield, because there's definitely probably a big jump, and that probably was pretty. For a lot of people, I think that was really exciting for Pokemon owners, and that made Sword and Shield a little bit more of an appeal to you. It's not a bad game. It's not a bad game.
I've gone from Black and White just straight to Sword and Shield. So.
Yeah, it's not a bad game. It's I would say in terms of like the scale, it's like a good game.
I didn't say it's the best game. I just said it's a good game.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's definitely selling as well. And then the last thing is that Nintendo has unified their development teams into one unified system. No longer are they handheld, no longer are they console. They are one team, all working on the same games for the same platform. So they're all talking to each other, all working together to make these games, and that has worked out so well for them. Because before it's like
perfect hybrid.
Before it's like, oh, these teams are working on 3DS, these teams are working on Wii U. They're all separate, so we're getting good 3DS games because they're a lot easier to make, but we're getting nothing on the Wii U side. And it just, now that they're all together, we're getting games faster, except for now in 2020, where we have, what do we have? We got, looking on the horizon, what's that? Oh, Xenoblade Chronicles off the starboard bow. Look at that over there. And what's beyond it? 52 board game classics. And what's beyond that? Open sea. Nothing for miles. We have no idea what Nintendo's doing for the rest of the year.
You know what they need? They need a hot Donkey Kong game.
Hey, they got the best Donkey Kong game on that already. What more do you need?
Honestly, whatever they do, they just need to follow it up with another banger to really captivate the audience that they just obviously got. So it's going to be interesting to see, and we'll follow up on this.
I guess we will. we're hot off the trail. We're tracking Nintendo. We'll give you the updates as they come along every Saturday after they've already come out. My topic for this week, actually, we're going to move on to a different console. We're going to talk about Xbox this week. And Xbox did their Inside Xbox Series X next gen gameplay presentation, and boy, was it a fucking banger, right, Joey?
Oh man, I was enthralled.
So enthralled. It was kind of a flop.
Oh my god, it was a flare out.
Oh wow, that was a choice.
Am I correct that Xbox is making a refrigerator?
Yeah.
You are. It was actually shown off in the presentation.
They showed it. It was looked pretty good. Looked very cold. Very roomy.
I think I might just have to put up for my milk and dairy products.
Yeah, it's one of their only exclusives, milk and dairy.
Looking forward to those releases.
In all seriousness, they did their presentation, and I don't. It's so weird when you look back on this in hindsight. You look at if you look at the presentation, I can't imagine the marketing people, the executives, anyone looking at that presentation thinking this is gonna hit. People are gonna really love this whole presentation. They're gonna be popping off their seats, going, "Oh my God, Scorn! Scorn? Are you kidding me? Look at this drippy weenie! Look at this dripping weenie! It's so, oh my God, I'm on the edge of my seat. This is better than Keanu." No one is saying that. And I
agree to that, though. Scorn was probably one of the games out of that presentation that did resonate with me, and I would want to play.
But what is it? What is Scorn?
It's a gruesome, bloody, horrifying, alien-like game.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that every single game looked good. Like, there were no stinkers in the bunch, and I've done a lot of research into the games themselves and the developers, and actually looking into each one. I think each one is probably going to be hopefully a decent game. I don't think it's not like you have like a game that's just like, oh, what are they doing with this thing? This thing looks awful. The only issue is that a lot of them were AA kind of titles from relatively unknown developers with in-game cinematic footage and not a ton of gameplay. There was quite a bit of games that were doing some gameplay, like the Bandai Namco one, the Yakuza game, The Ascent, and what I think was Call of the Sea. We're all featuring gameplay, but a lot of them were just not what you would want to reveal the next generation of consoles. It's like your first game that you show off should be an absolute banger of a game. Like, that should be a showpiece game that you're like, this is what next gen is. Get fucking hyped. That was not here. Definitely. They showed Bright Memory Infinite.
Hey, that game looked intriguing, okay?
You want to know?
You got a mix of Spartans, and you got DeLoreans, and
that game is a farce, is what it is. It was a game that it's been on Steam for a little bit, made by one guy who used a ton of stolen assets from other games like Bulletstorm and Dark Souls and I think Titanfall. So the guy basically made a ton of money off the game because he used stolen art assets and got caught and like admitted to it. There's an article where reporting that he admits to it, and then changed out all the assets, and then using the money he made from all the stolen assets was able to actually fund a team to make this game. So this is not made by one person. I don't know why they went with that narrative. There's no way this game is made by one person. but it's really weird that they went with this game. Like, it is really, really weird that they started off with this game. Like, this is the reveal, and that's kind of scary because it's kind of like are they just doing some trying to breach into the Chinese market here? Is that what they're trying to do by appealing? Like,
There seems like it.
it's just scary thoughts.
I will say one thing about the presentation. I did not think they showed any gameplay for Assassin's Creed, and if they did, I did not notice it.
It was gameplay in a sense. They were showing off sieges, but at the same time, like, that doesn't really get people excited when you think of gameplay. And it was so cinematic, and not cinematic in a good sense, but like cinema, like in-game cinematics, and not actual, doesn't reflect real gameplay, that it just leaves such a bad taste in your mouth. And I don't know why Ubisoft did that. I don't know why Microsoft was touting that. I don't know why throughout the entire press conference they're like, stick around, we got Assassin's Creed gameplay, wink wink, like, and just showed off that like 1 minute of just nonsense. It was a mistake. Like, that was a big mistake. They didn't need to do this. They already had so much good grace. They could have just waited. I don't know what they were thinking. This was a bad call. All the games looked fine. Presentation was awesome, but this was just weird. There's an actual gameplay demo on the Ascent, the top-down Diablo shooter, twin stick shooter game, and it looks really good. It looks pretty cool. You should go check that out.
The game looked good.
Yeah. I actually did I wouldn't call it a deep dive, more like the deep end of a pool dive of the analysis, and I'm going to be uploading that today on YouTube, so you can check that out.
Cool.
It's going to be called "Did Xbox Mislead Us?" With it'll have Ivor from Assassin's Creed with big old googly eyes and the drippy weenie kind of dripping down.
Up with the weenie.
Drippy weenie.
It was a good presentation. Definitely doesn't beat 45 minutes of Terry, though.
Nothing beats 45. Hey, we got Sans in that one. Sans.
We did get Sans. That's true.
What's going on with you, Joey? What have you brought with us today?
Well, we did have the 4th of May. You know what day that is? It's Star Wars Day.
Star Wars Day.
Star Wars every day.
We can't hear you, Dylan. What, Joey?
And I have been binging the Clone Wars from start to the final season.
Did you
Still
finish?
not there yet.
Okay.
No. Still not there yet. But it has brought me back to such a sense of euphoria to just watch that all over again. And I love every bit of it.
Looking back on it, it's such an amazing franchise, and it's so amazing that this thing actually came out and was as good as it was. And the final 4 episodes are so good. It is like a movie. It is beautiful looking. Like, when you mentioned the whole that they did mocap for the final fight. It wasn't the final fight, but it was one of the final fights. That's such like a crazy thing to me that they're doing mocap for this kind of thing now. And I hope to God Disney is like gonna announce another animated series soon. I don't care where it is. I just want another one, because this is so cool. It's so cool. I can't wait to see. I'm gonna start watching Rebels now because I've never seen Rebels before, and I can't wait to get into that one.
Rebels was pretty good. I watched that for a little while, but I'm gonna get back into that once I'm done with the Clone Wars. Going on the mocap, it was really cool to find out that they had Ray Park, the original Darth Maul, doing the work for that. Like, it's so cool. I love Solo.
He did Solo, right? He was in the end of Solo.
For that one little hologram part.
Solo. That we'll never get a follow up to.
That's my little bit. It's just Star Wars has been my theme of the week.
Oh yeah, Star Wars. They made a lot of announcements in Star Wars. Did we talk about Taika last week? I don't think we did.
I don't think we did.
Taika Waititi being the director of a new Star Wars movie. He's also co-writing it with the writer of 1917. So we're gonna get some crazy war, like brutal, like symbol of society thing. It's gonna be awesome. Taika's awesome. He's hilarious. That's gonna be exciting. And what's his face? The guy who originally played Boba Fett is apparently coming back to do some stuff on Mandalorian. People think Boba Fett. One guy on my Twitter feed said maybe Rex from Clone Wars instead of Boba Fett, and I think that's very exciting.
Yeah.
Well, there's also some incredible stuff that happened on May 4th that I think everyone needs to know about. That's right. It was the birth of X-A12, Elon Musk's son.
Kyle.
Kyle.
Is it Kyle? I don't know what. I don't know.
I've
X
seen Kyle
Archangel.
floating around a lot.
No,
I
his
don't think
name is X-A12. That's his name. It's confirmed.
that's
They said that it's not legal in the state of California, but
the simple
as
part of
far
it.
as
Not legal.
right, but X-Ash,
Anything's legal
At
in the
lea-
state of California if you have $1 billion.
yeah, 100%. But it's kind of interesting that he named his son this. Obviously, well, he said that his partner, Grimes, who we do not have to discuss further, said that she gave the name X Ash, which the AE is called
What?
Ash.
What's wrong with Grimes?
Yeah.
No, we're not-
Why are you trying to shove that subject off?
No, there's nothing wrong with her. She's a nice person. I have nothing against her.
That's just not how it sounded. we don't have to talk about Grimes.
No. I just think she's very unique with her style. That's all. And we were discussing that in a private chat, and I was just like, she has a unique style. That's all.
And yet we give Elon a platform.
Hey, Elon is our space boy, and
Not anymore.
he
He lost his privileges.
No.
Go to your room, Elon.
Elon actually talked about a bunch of crazy stuff on Joe Rogan's podcast earlier this week. And I wanted to actually see what you guys thought of this. One of the biggest things that they were talking about is Elon Musk's Neuralink. Essentially, what the Neuralink is, are either of you guys familiar with this Neuralink?
No.
You had me at a loss when you first mentioned it.
Okay, so the Neuralink essentially is this product that they've been working on, and essentially it's a chip that connects to your brain. They implant it. They said they have to obviously dig out, or they have to like bore out an inch diameter circle of your skull, and they implant this these like little tiny probes on your brain. But what he's been showing from his studies is this essentially is able to bring back motor function to people that have either a stroke and they lose, motor function in their face, or even if they lose their leg functionality. And he's been proving that this essentially is going to be able to restore some of that through the Neuralink. Obviously, the technology is going to keep progressing as time goes on. But what he was saying is eventually the Neuralink is going to allow people with Neuralinks to communicate to each other just based off thought. And he gave a timetable of about 10 years for this to actually happen. So it sounds like Elon Musk has a bunch of interesting stuff coming for the world. And honestly, I think it's really going to change how we see the world as we see it today. Obviously, if he's going to start being able to have people communicate without having to open their mouths, it's going to be kind of interesting. But this technology,
we already do that though.
Yeah, we do. Obviously with technology and phones, but I'm saying from a face-to-face kind of situation.
But
also
Order 66 vibes. I do not want a chip put into my brain.
It's something where
also let me just finish. What he's also saying is what this technology is going to be able to do for people that have seizures or people that have, any kind of like aneurysm, brain malfunctions, I guess we can consider them. It's going to be able to send a stimulus to the brain that will be able to stop this. So, people that have strokes or that have seizures are going to be able to have the opportunity to reverse the damage that obviously it leaves, and also avoid any future problems with that kind of stuff. So personally, I just think it's really awesome that he's been taking this route, and I think we're really going to be seeing a lot of health benefits from this. Obviously, the testing is going to start very soon, and he said that they're going to start it with people that currently have pre-existing conditions that are at the most extreme level, that are willing to obviously test this. But it sounds like eventually, when this is more out of the pre-existing condition clients, it's going to eventually jump into anyone that can afford it, which I think is pretty awesome. So what do you guys think about the Neuralink?
I think it's a pretty it's a slippery slope when it comes to this kind of thing, especially when you're talking about uh, being able to send things to people's like brains like that. That is
Yeah.
dystopian cyberpunk level like craziness. That if it's not properly regulated and controlled, it's going to be that could be one of the most disastrous things for our entire society. Could be very beneficial, like you said. It could be very beneficial. Could be very beneficial, like you said. But I think that when you're talking about getting into people's heads in a way that they cannot easily get out of, that sounds to me that could be very dangerous. And obviously they could put in things where it's like, oh, you can turn it off, don't worry. But it's also like I mean, we already have these things in our homes, these Alexas. Hey Alexa, what's going on?
She don't like you.
Perfect example.
Alexa, stop. And it's like to put those in your head and in a way you can't remove. Like, how are we supposed to? Because we don't even trust them right now. We don't even trust them right now to turn the things off, and for them to just have these things. It's just like there has to be some strict regulation on these kinds of things.
Let me just clarify, because some of the things you said, he did mention. This is reversible, so if you want to take it out, you can take it out. And
but is that going to cost money? Is that going to be free? Free to remove?
There's no detail on this yet. There's no pricing for this yet. But a good analogy to this is like a pacemaker for a heart. As of now, the technology is not going to be, let's send all this information to your brain. His broad concept is like, what he was explaining is this is kind of like a pacemaker for a heart. It keeps you going. Obviously, in terms of, like I was saying, strokes and seizures and stuff like that, it's going to avoid that for those people. But the future of this technology, obviously not at this current state, but the future of it is, he said, kind of compare it to like a computer hard drive. Obviously, computers' memories are far better than what humans would ever have at a natural state. But essentially what he's trying to say is this Neuralink is going to give us the opportunity to store all this memory in a large capacity. Almost think of like your brain having like a terabyte memory hard drive, where you can store all this information at a bigger level. And the starting point of it is just like a pacemaker, essentially, for your brain to avoid people with these pre-existing conditions.
To avoid them? As these neurological links will tell us, watch out, there's a cripple over there.
Oh my god.
I think no, not like that. It's a standalone system.
I get what you're saying. I get it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's literally a standalone chip that you mount on your head, and if it recognizes it recognizes the brain's waves.
That would have been a great transition, Joey.
I know. I should have waited.
All right,
darn.
We can stop talking about it. All right, Joey, give me your transition again.
Well, no, I would just be going back into Star Wars. So every clone that was created in Star Wars had a chip implanted into their brain. That's why Order 66 happened. So as soon as Palpatine gave the order, it went off in all their brains. Oh, hey, I got to do this. So
I almost don't like how it was implemented, the whole Order 66 thing, because it makes like it. I understand it, but it also doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. Like there's just this chip that when the words Order 66, like, does it have to be Palpatine that says that? Could anyone have said that to activate that? And then that just completely rewrites the clone's brains. Like, it's kind of, I guess it makes sense in a way, but also, like, did every single clone hear the message? Did every single clone activate it the same? Like, it just kind of like, maybe they send them like a network, a neurological link.
One of them had to hear it and then start spreading it, because then all of them would have heard it from him.
Maybe it like radio signal to everyone on the ship, like bing, 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 time to genocide.
Jedicide.
Genocide. All right. That's all for today's podcast. We've talked about a lot of stuff today, a lot of interesting things for the future, some really some scary things and some not so scary things. And yeah, that's going to be it. Does anyone have any closing statements? before we wrap up?
No, I think I'm good.
Don't be a fart. Be smart. Wear your face mask and be a nice person.
Be a nice person.
Yeah.
Like we've been here today. I've been Vander Sen, Joey Spicy Fries, DJ Zax Dillon, and this has been Socially Discording episode 4.
Yay.